So we're bringing back basically everybody. We lost 2 guys on the men's side and then 1 girl on the women's side. And then the women in general just were really, really young last year. So we had 1 senior and then basically all freshmen. And then on the men's side, we had 1 senior and then a few juniors who will be around. This will be their last year. And then they're a little bit more well-rounded, but because we're bringing everybody back more or less. So pretty excited about that. We've got Western in a couple weeks, and then our home meet, and then we're going to go to Seattle at the end of October and do the pre-nationals meet there. So the goal at the end of the season, nationals, we'll preview the meet course there, and then this year we have conference up in Durango, and then regionals out in Denver. So all the Texas schools have to come up to altitude, so I'm sure they're not thrilled about that. But yeah, and then nationals in Seattle. So that's the goal.
Talk about what you guys have worked on from the end of last year all the way up until the start of this year.
Sorry. I can start if you want.
Yeah.
I got allergies, so I apologize for the coughing. But, I mean, a lot of the work that we put in for this season was done this summer, which is awesome that a lot of the guys on the team actually had good summers too. We had a really good group in Grand Junction for training. It was me, Nate, Casey, and we were just all having a good time. So that's a lot of the preparation for this year was over the summer. So we're really excited for how things are looking right now.
Like Coach Shane said, we have a really young team, and so it's awesome that now most of us are second years. I know me, Elena, and Alyssa, the freshmen that jerseyed, we were pretty experienced and inexperienced, but now we know a lot more. We are more confident in our training, and we have a really good group of underclassmen to pull us, and it's going to be a really good year.
Sounds like a bit of juxtaposition, right? We're a seasoned team, kind of a young team. Can you talk about with being an older group, can you talk about adding more pressure to your runs this year?
If anything, it just makes it funner. For us, this was the biggest recruiting class we had. So when we showed up on the first day of practice to see that group of guys, it was awesome. We all love each other. We all love to go on runs. Practice is awesome, just to have the energy with a bunch of dudes. And yeah, I love it. I love that we have that group there.
I'd say it definitely adds pressure, but in a good way. It makes me want to be a better athlete so that I can help the younger people be better athletes. And Kira, our oldest, is a really good example to us too, and Ariana and Taylor.
Can you talk about last year? What kind of foundations did you build?
So we had Kira and we had Lindsay,
Yep.
and they were really good captains. Kira more on the 1500 and like
Eventually 5K.
5K, and then Lindsay as our 10K girl. So I feel like we had a really good variety of speed. So I always had someone to look up to and try to be like.
Coach, we always talk about, ramping up for stamina sports. Can you talk a little bit about where you guys are on that kind of, are you guys going really, really hard right now, or are you guys kind of taking it easy? Where are you guys at right now?
Yeah, last week was kind of our first week together doing workouts, and so we took a little bit. We're ramping it up a little bit slowly. So this week is really our first full hard week with 3 hard workouts, and it's been really, really hot lately. So we've been meeting up at 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. for practices, and so yeah, I know everybody's pretty tired, and so we're looking forward to, hopefully in a couple weeks when it gets into the 80s and maybe even the 70s where we can train in the afternoon and not have to worry about any damaging heat effects. You all right?
Yeah, I need some water, man.
Go get it. But yeah, so just going back to what Ethan said, last year we did have, I guess, a lot of, weight on the men's team to do really well, and everything started to click right at the end of the season, and then we ended up getting 4 of our top guys right at regionals ended up getting COVID, and that just kind of shut down the season preemptively, and so it was a pretty big disappointment, and so we definitely left last year with a little bit of a bitter taste in our mouths. But we also know that, I think if we if we were able to run healthy throughout the year, I think, my opinion is we would have been a top 10, top 15 team. And so we're trying to carry that mentality into this season where, we have the team that we know that we can be there, and we should have done it last year, but we had, I guess, a very large speed bump that we hit. But it's not like last year where it was like, I don't know, it was the first time that we were supposed to be good. We know we were good last year. We just kind of hit that end of the year speed bump. And then for our women, it was just 1 year of learning has really, I think, brought them along really well. And Ricky, for sure, has stepped it up big time this year, and she's been crushing a lot of her workouts recently, and along with all those other freshman girls. And then the freshmen that we brought in have been a really exciting group to have on the team so far. And I think that, they're pushing all our older athletes to another level as well.
So going into your second year of coaching, what kind of talk about a little bit, what did you learn from last year that you can now carry into this year at St.
I think a lot of it is, we were a little inconsistent on a lot of things last year. And a lot of that was part of the times. We had, people getting sick or testing positive or being exposed to stuff and then having to step away from the team for a week or two. And so that, it's kind of it felt a little bit like thrown into the fire where you kind of take over in a year where nothing is really normal. And so I feel like I've been through an abnormal year in the worst way. So hopefully everything this year and going forward, all the hard things that we face should be, hopefully not to that level of last year. So I think we got the hard stuff out of the way early. So, yeah.
And I guess nobody wants to talk about COVID at this point, but knowing what you guys went through late in the year last year, did that change your approach to the beginning of the year this year?
Yeah, I'd say it just gives me more gratitude. No race is given. And so, last year, we never knew what was going to happen. And now that things are a little calmer, I feel like it makes me excited for the season and just going into it, never knowing if, you get hurt or sick or anything can change.
I mean, Ricky did a pretty good job explaining everything, but for the most part, we're just trying to make sure that we limit our big social gatherings, try to stay out of huge groups, keep everything within the team this year, simply because we don't want to get sick. We don't even want to have that be a possibility this year. So, we're just going to try to do our best to avoid that, make sure our immune systems are in tip-top shape, and,
Yeah, and with last year, we had a lot of young people on the team that were living in dorms, and I think that being in dorms and being in the cafeteria all the time, it just led to situations where you're either getting sick or exposed to people. And so all of our kind of top athletes most of them are off campus at this point. So hopefully that's something we don't have to worry about a little bit less. I hope so.
All right, question of the week. Favorite pre-race meal?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Lots of pancakes, whipped cream, gummy bears. I love sugar before a race. Hasn't failed me yet.
I mean, the classic go-to is always pasta. That's the oldest pre-race meal in the book. But I've actually had quite a few races where I've eaten pizza before, and it was one of my better races. So, I mean, pizza all the way.
Back when I was racing, it was probably pasta and or salmon. I loved salmon before races. So,
Does it change as a coach?
No, I'm just enjoying having the freedom of not having to worry about my own meal anymore.